Hello once again, everybody. It is time for another constructive little discussion. You will recall last time that I touched on people incessantly wanking Vegeta, insisting that he has to have has to be the one to beat Frieza. He has to have spotlight. He has to be the guy for lack of a better term. Oh my, excuse me. Accidentally hit the volume button. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't know, you're kind of biased and you let your bias show and you basically insist that unless your bias is specifically catered to, it's going to be a terror bad film. And I mean, not just thinking that either, but spreading it around, insisting that everywhere, doing videos insisting that. But now I've run into that with another thing. The new chapter of the preview manga for Fukatsu no F, Resurrection F, has surfaced, and in it they kind of confirm that there are three characters who will likely not be present. It's at least not initially in the film, and that would be Goten, Trunks, and Boo. Now, this is where things get a bit silly. People are throwing a fit over this chapter. They are genuinely mad about this. Now, I'm not one to give away too many spoilers, so I'm gonna avoid talking about anything but this. There are some interesting developments. I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna try to avoid details, but basically they confirm what a lot of people had said, that Gohan, because he hasn't been training, has lost the ability to tap into his full power. He has not been keeping up with his training, but he can at least still go Super Saiyan. Roshi shows up because Roshi insisted on showing up, which is extremely in character. Tien showed up and left Chaozu and Yamcha behind. Yamcha, as it turns out, actually does indeed go occasionally to Tien's farm and helps him tend it. But this is something that bothers me. Not what's in the story, by any means. That does not bother me. I mean, it will bother some people, and I understand that. Some people really wanted to see certain characters. It's their favorite character, etc. I know people are going to be like, who's got Yamcha for a favorite character? There are some people. But what gets to me are the people who are bashing the living crap out of this over this, saying that the reasons that they're not there don't make sense. And the reasons are Boo has gone into a deep sleep and it's basically impossible for anyone to wake him up. And Goten and Trunks aren't there because Bulma specifically said she did not want Trunks knowing about it, and Gohan agreed he didn't want Goten knowing about it either, so they left them behind. Now, again, they do have the ability to sense energy, so whether or not they'll stay gone, that's another matter entirely, but we do know that their authority figures definitely do not want them there. It is not safe for them there, they figure. So, yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people, and here's why that bothers me. I can understand if you are disappointed that they aren't going to be there. I can. But when you sit there and you talk about how this is now going to be a terrible movie because the explanation is not satisfactory to you, that is incredibly stupid. And that is exactly what I had said in my last video. This fan base is incredibly stupid. And I'm going to tell you why. This fan base has actually outright stated that they want this movie to fail. They want it to flop. They want it to die, let the series die, leave it alone, because they're ruining it because they don't have Goten and Trunks in this movie. I wish I was kidding. There are people who are actually saying that this is proof Toriyama's a terrible writer and needs someone to check his stupidity and make certain that he keeps his crack writing in check. People saying that he deserves a smack upside the head for this stuff. I'm not kidding. This is actually being said. Over Goten and Trunks not being allowed to come. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, that's hypocritical. They sure as heck trusted them to fight Boo. They didn't trust them to fight Boo. Goku never wanted to leave this in their hands. He never wanted that responsibility on those kids. They were made to fight Boo because they were the only ones who were compatible to learn a technique that could create someone strong enough to contend with Majin Buu. That was not a choice. They did not say, hey, you'd be perfect. We trust you implicitly. Go on, valiant warriors. No, they did not. They said, we're screwed. Gohan appears to be dead. Vegeta's dead. I have to leave soon, in the case of Goku. And no one else is remotely strong enough to do this. If we teach, and nobody else can do this. There wasn't anyone there with a similar enough body type and power level. The boys, though, roughly about the same strength, roughly about the same height. They were perfect. And they were all they had. It wasn't willing. And now that they have a choice, now that they don't have to have those boys fight, they choose not to. They choose not to bring the children. Because every other time was a matter of necessity. This is not a matter of necessity. They have people who are capable, they think, of dealing with this. Now, there were some other interesting things revealed in this chapter thing. But again, I don't want to get into it, but just to illustrate how nitpicky this fan base is. They are genuinely mad, okay? Genuinely mad. I'm not kidding. That Whis steps in poop at some point, and they never explain whose poop it is. That's something for them to be mad about. They're actually mad that he stepped in poop, that they don't know who left it, and that he stepped in poop in the first place, being a godly being and all. Like he can somehow sense that at all times. I don't even know. Like I said, I'm not going to go any deeper in detail than that. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. I might talk about everything that we know from the preview manga again once it's all out. That might also be a discussion video for another day, but this is getting ridiculous. The levels of hate that are pouring out here, freaking ridiculous, guys. I mean, come on. Seriously. And to top that off, I mean, there's a new blog post on the official, Bulma blog, whatever, for the movie, where they have a quote-unquote interview with Tien. And it basically confirms that Goten and Trunks are not going to be there initially. And what do we have here? A comment from someone. Pretty sure that blog post seals the last nail in the coffin for Goten and Trunks' appearance in Resurrection Fail. And there it is. They want it to flop. It's not that they don't like it. It's not that they're not happy. It's not that they wish they'd been there. They say this movie sucks, it is going to suck, and it deserves to fail. Because of some of the most ridiculous things I have ever seen. I mean, they keep talking about all these poor choices, and I can't see a single one. I could see cases where maybe they could explain it a little bit better. I could see cases where they could maybe appeal to people, but at the same time, what's going to happen? Frieza's bringing on an army of soldiers. Why aren't they fighting off screen? Okay, fine. Why aren't they fighting off screen? Maybe because the battle's all right there. Maybe because if they're fighting off screen, then you'd probably complain that the fight happened all off screen. And you would. How come that fight happened off screen that you gave screen time to trash like Tien and Roshi and Jacko and Krillin? And it's like, I don't even try to deny it because you know you would. It's funny. Once upon a time, I remember Consensu was full of people who were bashing on this series because of Saiyan worship and how the Saiyans were pushed to the forefront of everything. And you know what? I can kind of agree that did become a bit of a fault with the series. And it is something I wish that it would have been done differently. And it's something I think Toriyama honestly wishes he could have done a little bit differently too. Which is probably one reason why they're suddenly relevant again, at least the ones who he can make relevant realistically. I mean, Yamcha outright quit back when the android showed up. Just stopped. Training, all of it. Just stopped. It's sad that he actually had to admit he was useless in that situation. But he did quit. And that is something that does eventually happen. Eventually, see, here's this concept that people seem to forget about. People have limitations. And every once in a while, you will hit that limit. You will hit your ceiling. You will max yourself. At that point, it's a matter of maintaining, not getting stronger. There's no infinite level to which you can become strong. It's a matter of maintaining yourself. Yes, you can push yourself. Yes, you can still occasionally break beyond your limit. But once you get to a certain point, it really becomes minimal. Diminishing returns, basically. At that point, you just train to keep it up. And that's basically what Tien does. Yamcha didn't see a point since Yamcha felt he was completely outclassed and unable to be of any assistance, period. According to Toriyama, part of his history includes even going to work at a host club. You know, I mean, the guy, he retreated to a normal life pretty quickly. Um, but yeah, it's, you know, Tien and Yamcha started a farm. He started, you know, looking for work, looking for a girlfriend, etc. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's just, I don't understand why you can be so petty. And you know what? I'll admit, I've personally, though I haven't really necessarily vented it publicly, though I have expressed disappointment and perhaps even a little overboard at times, that, you know, I mean, Battle of Gods, I was slightly upset by the fact that the other characters did nothing. But that was also, you know, primarily because they'd been advertised. They'd been right there on the posters, the early posters, they'd been shown in battle gear and everything, and then you find out, oh, hey, they're back to their usual roles of doing nothing except going down in one hit. It was kind of frustrating. You know, I mean, I figured that they'd at least give them something to do, grunts to fight, something. I mean, they were dealing with a god. It was like maybe they, you know, servants, cult, followers. I don't know. But now they're getting that. And you know what? Looking back at that movie, it was a fun movie. It could have been better, definitely. There were some weak spots, but at the same time, you know, it was a good movie. And I don't think it's near as bad as a lot of people want to make it out to be. But I also want to say that I still think it's ridiculous that people are upset about the palette swap for Frieza. You know, being his new form or what have you. And yet, you know, they want these copy paste cooler looking photoshops. Uh, but furthermore, I find it funny how some of the same people who seem to be mad that Frieza is going to get strong enough to surpass them in, oh, you know, 4 months of intense training, because that's pretty clearly what he's going for, some pretty intense training. I find it funny how they think that it's reaching, stretching. You know, they think that's BS. These are the same people though who think that Vegeta getting strong enough to surpass a far, far, far stronger Goku just because Bulma got slapped was the best scene in the last movie. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I mean, come on now. But realistically, I mean, when these characters have put themselves through some pretty hellish conditions, I mean, Goku, you know, went from being just a little bit stronger than maybe 19 and 20 to being almost on par with Cell in the space of a year, sure, but before that, he, in the span of 5 days, increased his power 22 times over by training at 100 times gravity nonstop for 5 days. And then you had the Zenkai power up that came after that. And that's only 22 times over based on what we saw. It could have been even higher before he wound up getting hurt. But I just find it funny, how some of the same people who seem to be okay with this here and okay with that there are suddenly not okay here. And primarily it has to do with, see, I understand that some people are upset because they said, oh, there's other, realms out there with gods far stronger than you or I, and they want them to explore that. And it's like, yeah, hey, and maybe they will, maybe they won't. Honestly, it could just be a throwaway line. It could be there to explain, because a lot of people complain about the ending of Dragon Ball Z. I think it's kind of stupid too, but they complained, why is Goku so interested in training Oob to get stronger? There's nothing out there stronger than him now, etc. Well, now we know there's Beerus. Now we know that there's the other realm with the other gods. Maybe Goku thinks he's going to be able to challenge them one day, or, see how powerful they are. Maybe there's another threat out there we don't know about. I don't know what's going to wind up happening now. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't think necessarily that they have to go into that. It was just something that was kind of in there to, like, make Goku's jaw drop. But, I don't know. I can understand people wanting them to go into that, but at the same time, that's no reason to bash on this. This is something Toriyama's actually wanted to do for quite a while now. This is something that he said is actually a story that came very easy to him. Came up with a lot of ideas very quickly, managed to get them to flow together very nicely. Got praise from a former editor, one of the stricter editors, I believe, too. So, this ain't a slouch job. And I think it's going to be really good. I do. I certainly don't see all these red flags other people do. And most of the red flags that I'm seeing really seem to be preferential, to be perfectly blunt. I don't know. But come on, guys, we need to calm down. This is something Toriyama, I think, has put a lot of heart into. And I really, really think that this is something that's going to turn out to be good. I know a lot of people want to say that, this manga makes it look not so good. I can't agree with that, just because there's really nothing inherently bad that's shown up yet. And the rest is simply just unexplained. This is a very condensed version of the series. It's like an elaborate trailer, It's a 3-part little preview. And it's probably going to show some stuff leading up to, it just showed Frieza's army arriving and whatnot. Next chapter they show is probably going to be a little bit of a preview of some of the fighting. And then it's going to end. And it's going to be like, go see the movie! They're not going to include a lot of detail. They're not going to include a lot of plot points. Unless you think that based on what we've seen so far, leading into, Frieza showing up and them fighting is only going to be about, maybe 15 minutes. Tops. And that's being generous based on what I've seen in that manga. We're looking at maybe 10. Not even 10. Before Frieza shows up. I think we're being a little ridiculous in terms of thinking we can fully judge the movie based on that. But, I'm basically banging my head against a brick wall because the Dragon Ball fan base is gonna be the Dragon Ball fan base. Which, yeah. At any rate, guys, that is it for tonight, and I will catch you guys later. See ya.